Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're digging into a huge story that's really shaking up the tech world. We're talking about a massive shift from just writing software to actually building the hardware that makes all that software possible.
So let's just jump right in, because you might be wondering, this seems a little strange, right? OpenAI, the folks behind ChatGPT, are absolute wizards when it comes to software. So why on earth are they getting into the messy, complicated, and incredibly expensive business of making computer chips? Well, the answer to that question gets right to the heart of the biggest challenge facing the entire AI industry today. All right, so let's get into OpenAI's big hardware gambit. It all really kicks off with this one piece of news that's been making waves, based on some pretty solid reporting. So here it is. OpenAI is apparently teaming up with Broadcom, a total giant in the chip world, to make its very first custom AI chip. I mean, this is a game changer. For years, OpenAI has just bought its chips from other people. This is kind of like a Formula One team deciding, you know what? We're not going to buy engines from everyone else anymore. We're going to build our own, from scratch, perfectly tuned for our car. It's a huge deal. And here's the game plan as we understand it. The launch is slated for 2026. They're partnering with Broadcom for the design, and the actual manufacturing is going to be handled by TSMC. And if you don't know, they're basically the best in the world at this. But here's the kicker. This is all for internal use. They're not planning to sell these chips. This is all about building a private, custom supply chain just to power their own AI systems. So, next up, the high cost of intelligence. This all begs the question, right? Why go through all this trouble? Why spend all this money? Well, the answer really comes down to a fundamental problem that's pushing the entire AI industry to its absolute limits. We have to talk about something called computing power. The best way to think about it is as the fuel for AI. Every time you ask ChatGPT a question, every time it generates a response, it's burning through a ton of this fuel. And to build the next, even bigger, even smarter AI models, you need a truly unimaginable amount of it. Without that constant massive supply, the whole AI engine just grinds to a halt. And this slide just lays out the core problem perfectly. On the one hand, you've got OpenAI's ambitions, which are, through the roof. They want to train bigger models, serve millions of users at the same time, and basically control their own future. But on the other hand, you slam into this physical barrier. The chips they need cost a fortune, they're almost completely dependent on one supplier, Nvidia, and that makes them super vulnerable to shortages. It's become a massive bottleneck. All right, so how are they planning to smash through that bottleneck? This wasn't some snap decision. Actually, if you look closely, you'll see that this strategy has been building for quite some time. They've been playing the long game. And you can see that long game laid out right here. It really started back in 2024, with whispers that they were just exploring their options. Then, by early 2025, it got more serious. Reports came out that they were finalizing a design. And now, in late 2025, we're hearing that a 2026 launch is basically set in stone. This is a deliberate march toward independence, not just a knee-jerk reaction. So their strategy is actually pretty smart and has a few different parts. Step 1, develop your own chip. That gives you maximum control. Step 2, don't do it alone. Partner with the best in the business to make sure it's top-notch. And step 3, and this is really important, don't put all your eggs in one basket. They're still going to be buying chips from Nvidia, and they're also bringing in chips from AMD. It's all about creating a more stable, competitive supply chain for themselves. Okay, this is where the story gets really juicy. Broadcom's mystery customer. We get to do a little detective work here, because while OpenAI has been pretty quiet about all this, their partner, Broadcom, seems to have let a few things slip. So check this out. The CEO of Broadcom, Hock Tan, is on a call with all his investors, and he says this. He's basically telling the world they've just landed a massive new customer. He doesn't name names, of course, but he drops some pretty big clues for us to follow. And the first clue is just wow. $10 billion. Let that sink in for a second. This mystery customer has placed orders for over $10 billion worth of AI stuff. I mean, the list of companies on planet Earth that can just drop that kind of cash is very, very short. But here's the real clincher. He then says that this new partnership is going to significantly boost their AI revenue in 2026. Wait a minute. 2026. Isn't that the exact same year we're hearing OpenAI's chip is supposed to launch? You put that timeline together with the $10 billion price tag, and, well, all signs are pointing in one direction. It seems pretty clear who this mystery customer is. So let's zoom out for our last section, the future of AI brains. What does all of this really mean for the bigger picture? Because this isn't just about one company's supply chain. This signals a really fundamental shift in the entire AI landscape.
When you boil it all down, this move gives OpenAI some huge advantages. One, it helps reduce their insane costs. Two, it gives them control over their own destiny instead of relying on others. But maybe the biggest thing is custom performance. Getting a chip that's tailor-made, perfectly optimized for their AI models. What this really tells us is that a new era is dawning. For years, it was all about controlling the software, the AI's mind. Now, it's becoming just as critical to control the hardware, the AI's physical brain.
And that leaves us with a really fascinating final thought to chew on. For decades, the great tech race was fought in lines of code. The battlefield was software. But are we now watching that battlefield shift to silicon? Are we seeing the next great technology race unfold as AI giants start to forge their own custom brains? It's a huge question, and you can be sure we are going to be watching very, very closely.